All right, welcome back, you beautiful humans, to the Matt Monaco, Rob Booker takeover of the Stocks to Trade YouTube channel. We're excited to see you here. Last time I talked to Matt, we kind of addressed, and if you missed part one, you can click on one of those fancy YouTube things and jump and watch that. We talked about your journey from $2,000 to $2 million, but those really essential beginning months and years where you were grinding out the profits slowly but surely. And here's the big question. When anybody hears the story about a millionaire trader, I think the big question on their mind is, how do they do it? And what they mean is, what was your strategy? So in the simplest, and we'll build onto it, in the simplest form possible, what were you looking for? And is it similar now to what it was then?
Identical. Identical now to what it was then. So I've always been attracted to the long side of trading. You know, buy low, sell high.
Yeah.
Just, for me, it made more sense. Not that short selling's wrong.
Can we just stop this entire thing? No, so for those of you who don't know, I'm a short seller, he's a buyer, and that's great, and strangely, we're still friends.
Yeah, exactly. Money can be made both ways. I was just on the long side.
Okay, yeah, no, this is great, and you've done so well at it, and I want to focus on this. Most people are interested in how to buy stocks effectively. All right, so you're interested in buying stocks.
Which, naturally, there's one main strategy everyone thinks of when you want to buy stocks, and that's breakouts.
Okay.
So that was kind of the starting point,
Yeah.
where those breakouts happen. But if anyone's ever bought a breakout, it's not as easy as it looks on the textbook.
Yeah, and by breakout, it means like you're waiting for a stock to exceed a previous level that it got to, whether it was yesterday or last year or 52-week highs. That's the momentum trader.
Yes.
There's a problem with that. Well, some people experience some problems with that.
Certainly, which, you know, if you've ever bought a breakout, you've definitely been part of what's called a failed breakout, which is when it briefly goes to a new high, only to then dump back near those lows, and you get delivered a nice fat loss, which isn't very fun.
Yeah. Premature breakout syndrome is something that a lot of traders do experience, and it can be embarrassing, but it's best just to talk about it. So listen, so you get it gets old after a while, right?
It does.
Have you ever bought a stock at a breakout level and then immediately it's just like, why did I get in at the top? That's so frustrating.
So frustrating.
Okay, so when experiencing that, you're like, no, I don't want, that's not the, yeah.
Right, and I tried that for a period of time. Clearly didn't work. So at that point, pretty much had to go back to the drawing board and be like, what was I doing wrong? And, you know, where was it? Why were these breakouts failing? And that ultimately led me to these price glitches. So,
well, I want to talk about this because I'm sure there's a hidden question inside of this comment that's so insightful. You must have learned breakouts from somebody. Mm-hmm. And when you learn a strategy from somebody and it doesn't work for you, that's a perplexing and frustrating experience because you're like, I thought this person does this effectively. Mm-hmm. Can something that works for someone else end up not working for you?
Certainly.
Yeah.
It certainly could, without a doubt. Because, I mean, that's kind of, at the end of the day, the beauty of the market, too, is there's no holy grail way to make money. As we said, you're a short seller, and you make money, and I pretty much do the opposite of what you do.
Yeah. Well, usually when you're done with it long, I start shorting
right,
it.
Exactly.
And it's a very complementary methodology. Okay. So you go, okay, I'm not doing that anymore. It's not working. That's a big decision. That's, I think, a big groundbreaking decision that some traders make is some traders go, okay, that's not working for me. I'm going to put it aside. Doesn't matter how much time you spent on it or how much money you spent learning it. You're like, not working. What did you turn to?
I call them price glitches, which ultimately I stumbled upon them because what was happening was those failed breakouts. Time and time again, the account would get beaten up, it'd bleed out, and you were just losing money. And it felt like someone was just always a couple steps ahead of me, just basically setting a trap, waiting for me to, you know, run to that trap.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you've ever bought a stock and it reverses it instantly, there's a market maker or a bank or somebody on the other side that wanted you to buy it at that level. And then that's the last order. I mean, that's price manipulation. That's market manipulation.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, in hindsight, it's going to sound so obvious to say it out loud, but why not just follow their breadcrumbs, do exactly what they're doing. They're large trading institutions, millions, billions of dollars a year. Clearly they know what they're doing. And instead of trying to fight them and buy those failed breakouts, the methodology turned to, okay, let's see those breadcrumbs, let's follow what they're doing, and try to take advantage of those price glitches.
Okay, so instead of buying at the breakout, let me just back it up. So let's say we see a stock like CXAI. If you want to look back to April 14th, 2023 on your charts, CXAI had this giant day where it goes from $2.78, which you called, by the way. You called the trade. Your glitch called it. And it runs up after hours to $69 a share. Intraday, it's like $9.78. Okay, so instead of buying it on the breakout, are you buying it then as it starts to take off earlier on? Is that what's happening?
Essentially, yeah. So if you look at the chart, intraday of that chart too, you'll notice it gaps up, but it doesn't run immediately, just doesn't immediately go to the breakout. There's kind of a failure in the beginning. And at that point, most traders believe that that stock's dead in the water. It's failed. It's that failed breakout. So all the early traders who captured that, they've lost money. They're upset. They've either quit or who knows what they're doing at this point. They were just simply at the wrong spot. And those market makers took advantage of them. Instead, what ended up happening, though, was what should have been a failed breakout and what should have died off, that stock didn't. And it managed to hold up for, off the top of my head, roughly an hour, maybe two. And that failed breakout then failed to break down, evidence there of a market maker clearly holding that stock up. And when you mix in a little bit that was a really small float stock, that's pretty much a perfect recipe to watch that stock run.
Yeah, the low float stocks are stocks that have a low supply. So let's say your local gas station runs out of gas. It's the only gas station in town. They have 30 gallons of gas left. What's the price of gas going to do? It's going to just shoot through the roof, right? And if it only had 30 gallons of gas, that would be the float, the total number of gallons of gas available. Well, stocks are the same way, right?
Same way.
So sometimes there's a big stock, like Snapchat has 993 million shares on the float. We're never going to run out of Snapchat. By the way, how old are you now?
25.
So maybe he can explain to me Snapchat so I can tell my daughter whether or not she can use it.
I missed that
No,
word.
so exactly. No, it's so fun. So Snapchat has a huge supply of shares. That's why Snapchat doesn't run 800% in a day.
Correct.
But CXAI had something like 400,000 or 500,000 total shares available, but there were millions of traders lining up to buy it. So that's a factor in your analysis to a certain degree. All right, so instead of the buying the breakout and getting tricked into it, you wait and watch and study the breakout, and then might catch the second move up or something like that. You might.
Correct. Basically, what I'm waiting to do is try to figure out what these market makers are doing. If they are, in fact, controlling that stock. You'll see a lot of stocks, and I understand why you like short selling, where they'll quickly just shove it up, and then it fails. Right? And which that was their end game. But if all of a sudden a stock like CXAI is holding up, they shoved it up, it failed a little bit, but it's not really failing. Just enough to attract the eager short sellers. Not Rob, he's smart, right?
Yeah, I did not short CXAI. There's these chat room comments in capital letters, do not short. Whatever the number one stock of the day is, it's always like, it could be VCIG, whatever the number one stock of the day is, that's off limits. Because it attracts all the attention. Now the next day, anyway, we'll get into that later. So this is interesting. Stock jumps, it tries to drop back. It attracts all those dirty, evil, disgusting, godless, tax-raising short sellers. They pile into this, and then the buyers come back in.
Right.
I'm going to just be honest with you. The reason we're here in the studio today is I organized a longer format interview with you about this, because when I talk to you about this, I just want you to do this for me. So I know you just decided to find an easier way to find all of those things you just said. And you did, right?
Absolutely.
So you programmed, together with a team, you programmed this so you could identify these more quickly.
Yes.
That's amazing. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so the same strategy that we've been discussing, these price glitches, I've been working with not only a market insider, but a tech team to develop an algorithm to identify those trades for us. Rather than going out there and myself manually, Googling or looking on Wall Street Bets, for example, all of these trades, the algorithm simply goes out and identifies those trades and finds those exact price glitches that I was explaining. Prices in the stock where the stock's not doing what it should be doing and not what everyone thinks it should be doing, and that is the opportunity. And then to take advantage of those opportunities, the algorithm will alert us not only to the stock, but where to enter it, and then a potential trade on it as well.
How many times a day do you trade? How often do you trade?
Once, maybe twice a day.
Okay, so it's producing at least that many.
Yeah, it's about 2 to 3 a day right now. I mean, the market's been very, very hot the last handful of months.
So what if I wanted to start a small account though, and because I actually did already. I've done this once with him. I'm going to do it again on your next 30-day challenge. I don't know if we can. Can we put more? We'll put more details in the description here or whatever. Okay, I want to do it, but can you do it with a small account?
Absolutely.
Because I worry that day trading and small accounts don't mix. So can I hold these overnight, or how does that work?
Yeah, you certainly could. But what happens is, despite every day, there's that handful of price glitches. There are certain ones that come across my radar that are just, A+, the best of the best. Yeah, there's great money-making opportunities daily, but if you're just focusing on the best ones, well, those are the explosive opportunities you can then use to really start to grow an account exponentially. What my partner, his name is Ian, and we'll introduce everybody to Ian here. Ian and I will do is we'll go through the alerts that our algorithm produces and handpick those explosive ones, the best of the best.
Yeah.
And on average, they're about 1 to 2 a week, which falls perfectly into that small account issue.
So I got access. I don't think I told you this yet, but I got access to the indicator. I got access to the thing that you built. And I think you probably saw AVTX recently. It was just stair-stepping and climbing and stair-stepping and climbing. And I actually not only stayed out of shorting that stock because the indicator gave me that indication, but I actually bought it, and it became a trade that I could hold longer. So even with a smaller account, it kind of like, I didn't have to worry about that pattern day trader rule business or whatever. So once again, I'm sure now some people are like, indicator? What? Scanning tool? What? Programming team? So I think whatever the YouTube, we could put a link down below. We're going to record a whole thing with Ian here, and maybe we can replay that at a link below or whatnot. And then if any of you are interested, truly, like, what's it worth? Like, if you could go back in time and just get these alerts faster or easier, what would that be worth?
Who knows?
I get the emails too. I mean, like I'm not unbiased about this. Like I get the emails too. I get the alerts. I actually have access to it, and it's absolutely fantastic. So I can see why you did all that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, thanks, Matt. I mean, the question on everybody's mind is how did you do it? You've answered the question, and we've gotten a link probably below for everybody. So on behalf of our buddy, you want to say anything to Tim Bohen before we go? We love you, man.
Oh man. I don't know what we should tell him. I hope he's doing better. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with him. We'll give you the login back next week.
Yeah, no, man. Thanks for letting us take the channel over for a couple of videos, Tim. And he'll be back for regularly scheduled programming next. I'm Rob Booker. This is Matt Monaco.
Good to see everybody.
Click the link below. Get more information about the thing that Matt did.